Okay, right, so UFC 290 betting lines that I'm finding interesting this weekend. So obviously UFC 290 coming our way tonight. It's a quick bonus video. I do like to put some small bets on mixed martial arts, on the UFC. Nothing too crazy because look, you keep those odds long, keep those stakes low, keep those bets terrible. That's my basic motto on these. So let's take a quick look. My favourite bet of the night, by quite a long way, is I quite fancy Dan Hooker to knock out Jalen Turner. Now there are some reasons for this. Number one, mindset-wise, Dan Hooker just seems like he's in a great place. When you look at like how, all his interviews, everything leading up to the fight, he just looks happy, he looks comfortable, and when he's happy and comfortable, that's when he tends to perform the best. Also, Jalen Turner had a horrible weight cut, just awful. I mean, he looked like death on that scale. He looked like death warmed up. He really did. He was the last one on the scale. He literally took all the time that was allowed. He was on the scale with 1 minute to spare. Still missed weight by 2 pounds. That was a hard cut. He looked bad. That compromises your ability to take a shot. We've seen it several times. Many professional fighters have alluded to that point, that it does diminish your ability to take a shot. So this isn't just me saying this. The experts, the guys that fight, say this. So it can't be bullshit. Do you know what I mean? So for me, you're getting like 6.5. You're getting what, 5.5 to 1 on Dan Hooker to get the knockout in this one. That's great odds, because Dan Hooker is a great kickboxer. He is so good. And actually, he's not that much small. I thought the size difference was going to be massive. He doesn't look that much smaller. Dan Hooker's quite a big guy for lightweight in his own right. So yeah, Dan Hooker by knockout. That is my pick of the night for terrible bets, just purely because it's 5.5 to 1. Fantastic value on that. And I also think that it's likely. I think that it's on the cards because Jalen Turner looked... That was a hard cut for him. I think it might be time for Jalen Turner to go up to welterweight, if I'm totally honest. He's still going to be a big guy at welterweight. He's still going to be bigger than most of the other welterweights. So what's he pissing around up there for? The other fight where I perhaps see an upset is, in my personal favourite fight of the night, Dricus du Plessis taking on Robert Whittaker. Fantastic fight. Big fan of both guys, I might add. But there are a couple of intangibles that I've noticed going in that I think are worth at least, taking note of. Number one, Dricus is being written off here. All the media, everybody, nobody's picking him in this fight. And I don't quite know why, because look, he's shown an ability to get the job done, to fight through adversity and get the job done. Like, look, okay, fair enough. He did make a bit of a meal of both Till and Brunson. There were times where it looked like both Till and Brunson were perhaps going to get the finish, but he worked through it. He weathered the storm, and then he got the finish like himself in spectacular fashion as well. He looked absolutely brilliant. Look, Robert Whittaker, when he fought Darren Till, that he didn't have it all his own way either. I believe he got knocked down in that fight, if my memory serves correctly. It's been a while since I've watched that one, but I do remember early-ish on, I'm fairly sure that Robert Whittaker at least got rocked. I'm sure he did. Anyway, it was a close fight, whereas in the end, Till versus Dricus was not close. Dricus mauled him by the end of it. Same with Derek Brunson as well. And Dricus, he's just got a knack. He's a very, very big physical guy. I think that physicality can be a problem. I think it can be an issue for anybody, Robert Whittaker included. Because the other thing that I would note is that people keep talking about how, Dricus, he always looks like he's gassing out halfway through the round, and he always just looks tired. Well, the problem is he actually had a problem with his nose. I think he got broken in a kickboxing fight, something like that, and he's had surgery to fix that. So the reason he kept on getting gas before is because he's always just breathing through his mouth. He can breathe through his nose now. That might be a game changer. Look, if you can get round one Dricus, like the hard-hitting, aggressive Dricus du Plessis, but you can get that for 3 solid rounds, that's a problem. That's a problem for anybody, Robert Whittaker included. I'd also note that Dricus, he's a big, physical guy. Look at the start. He's so big, man. For that weight class, he's a big guy. Robert Whittaker used to make welterweight. And if Robert Whittaker really tried, he could probably still make welterweight. Dricus du Plessis could never make welterweight. Not in a million years. Not the frame that he is now. It just isn't happening. So that does make a difference. Anybody who says that size doesn't make a difference, they're deluding themselves. It does make a difference. If you've got two guys that are both skilled, usually the bigger, stronger one will win because size and strength is a factor. I'm not saying that Dricus is definitely going to win this fight. Robert Whittaker, he is the best middleweight in that division not named Israel Adesanya. He hasn't lost to anybody not named Adesanya since 2014, for God's sake. You don't put runs like that together if you're not elite. He might be the most complete middleweight on the planet. He might be the technically best middleweight out there. It's just that Adesanya has his number. So when you're looking at that, yeah, okay, Robert Whittaker, like, all the signs point to Robert Whittaker winning this fight, but this is mixed martial arts. Weird stuff happens all the time. And like I say, Dricus, he's doing all the right things. He's got the right attitude going in. He's big, he's physical, he's a problem. He's a big physical guy who can really throw. And I think that you're getting like 5-1 on the knockout for Dricus du Plessis. I have seen stranger things happen than that, so I'm adding that to my bet slip as well. Terrible bet, but you're getting good value there. You're getting good value on it because look, if he knocks out Robert Whittaker, all of a sudden, you're not getting odds like that on Dricus du Plessis again. It's not happening. And look, I'll be honest, I picked against du Plessis against Brunson. I thought Brunson was going to be too much for him. And every time I think that something's going to be too much for him, he just comes out on top. I'm done picking against Dricus at this point. I'm a big fan of his anyway. I would love to see the Adesanya fight. I think that one is perfect for the build-up and everything like that. So, look, Dricus du Plessis, TKO. The other one I'm adding to that bet slip, because I'm doing a cheeky, terrible treble in this one. Alejandro Pantoja, or Pantoja, I don't really know how you say it. He's beaten Moreno twice. I keep going back and forth on this one. Initially, I was thinking Moreno is going to win. Moreno is a different fighter now. It's a bit up in the air, but Pantoja has beaten Moreno twice, and they weren't close fights either. Like, one of them was a submission as well, and that's where supposedly Moreno would have the advantage, but I don't think he does have that advantage over Pantoja. So Pantoja by submission, you're getting 4.5-1 on that. That's not bad considering he's done it to this guy before. So adding that to the bet slip, put all three on there, you're getting like 214-1, which is frankly ridiculous. That's a terrible bet. Don't place that bet. That is awful. That's never... The reason it's 214-1 is because it's never happening. But I'm also going to do what I like to call my MMA scratch card, which I placed earlier. So... Right, where's it? Here we go. So from the top of the card, I've basically done, it's like an MMA lottery ticket. It's fun, right? You do win-loss on every fighter on the card. It's like a lottery ticket. You put £1 on and you get to watch people punch each other in the face whilst it's unfolding. It's a great laugh, honestly. It's well worth a quid. It makes it so much fun. Less so when it's off after like the first fight. That's always a bit wounding. That's why I put these cheeky trebles on as well. Anyway. Starting off, Kamela Kirk, I'm taking him to beat Rybovic. That's probably terrible because he's the underdog. Aguilera, heavy favourite, and I agree with that one. I'm taking Aguilera to beat Shannon Ross. Cameron Saman to beat Terence Mitchell. I'm taking that. Vitor Petrino, he's an absolute killer. Taking on Marcin Petrino, I'm taking that. Tetsu Tairi, taking out Edgar Chairez. Edgar Chairez is a big underdog in that one. Alonzo Menafield, I'm going to take him to beat Jimmy Crute, despite being the underdog. I just think he's bigger, physical, more powerful. Denise Gomez, I think she just looks scarier, and she's a massive underdog, so this is probably going to send my accumulator completely out off kilter, but I like Denise Gomez. She looks scary as shit, so I'm taking her to beat Sharegui. I don't know how to say it. Robbie Lawler, I'm taking him to beat Nico Price. I don't necessarily believe that that's going to happen, but I'm not picking against Robbie Lawler. He's a legend. He's one of my favourite fighters of all time. I'm not betting against him. I'm not picking against him. Robbie Lawler, throwing that right hook one last time because he's got so much power in that right hand. You can tell, right? He's got that bicep. He's got that Roy Jones bicep because that hook, he just throws it so often. It's got so much power. He can knock out anybody. If Nico Price stands in front of him like he says he's going to do, then we could see Robbie Lawler go out with a fairy tale ending, and that I would like that. Bo Nickel, obviously, taking him to beat Van. So Woodburn, fair play, stepping up, but Bo Nickal's a bit of a beast, so I expect him to win fairly easily. One of my picks of the night, Dan Hooker. I'm taking him to win because I think that Jalen Turner had a horrible weight cut and he just looked like he was on death's door, honestly, and Dan Hooker is pretty good. I think he's good enough to exploit that. So let's have a look at that. Dricus du Plessis. I'm taking Dricus. I'm done betting against him. He's big, he's physical, he's game, he's had his nose fixed, he can breathe again. I'm in, I'm taking it. Pantoja, I'm taking him to... He's beaten Moreno twice. Look, he can do it a third time. We already know he can win. We already know he can beat Moreno. That's big. That's a big thing. And I'm going to take Volkanovski in the main event. I see a universe where Yair Rodriguez does win because he can just uncork those kicks and spin back elbows at any time. He's dangerous, don't get me wrong, but I just think Volkanovski's too good. I just think he's too good. That's what I'm taking. That is 1,376 to 1, or is it? Hang on, what is it? No, it's even better than that, guys. That one in particular is 6,863.56 to 1. That is a terrible bet because there is zero chance of that coming off. They should give me 1,000,000 to 1 on that because that's how unlikely it is. But as I said, it's a bit of fun. MMA scratch card. Love doing them. And yeah, I'm going to enjoy the hell out of these fights. So I hope that you enjoy the fights as well. I'm going to be recapping these bets next week. And I've also done a kind of slightly more detailed, it's a casuals guide. So it's quick hits, every single fight on the card. I've done information on every single fight. It's only like 20 minutes long, but you get a better understanding of some of the fighters lower down on the card. So it just allows you to enjoy the fights a little bit more. Some of the more obscure people that you may not be familiar with, I've done a bit of research on them, and some of them I was aware of anyway, to be fair. And yeah, so if you could do me a favour, hit subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. But until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.